What's going on YouTube? I'm Ben, and in this video, I'm gonna go over 5 niches that are gonna make you the riches. Alright guys, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to give you a list of 5 niches that will definitely make you the riches. I know this because I've worked with these niches specifically myself, and they pay out a ton. They do repeat business, they do referrals, and they definitely are capable of being charged 10 to 15%. So long story short here, you're pretty much getting $100,000 worth of value if you tap into these niches right now. So all I ask in return is that you just tap that like button that you see there. Just make that like button turn blue if you would, please. I would much appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, so number 1 on my list is plumbing. I understand plumbing is a super random niche to be number 1 on this list. However, hear me out on this. Basically, plumbing, as you know, is extremely expensive. Doing anything plumbing-wise at your house costs you an arm and a leg. That's not even talking about the commercial side of the plumbing business. So basically, these guys are making bonkers money, and they're super, super rich. Plumbing is also just a super easy niche to recruit for. Basically, you pretty much either talk to the company itself, get a good job description, or read a few job descriptions online for random plumbing technicians and get a few jargon items out of it and place your ads probably on Indeed.com because that's where they're best found. And then you're off to the races with your plumbing recruiting. The next niche on my list that is gonna make you the riches is roofing. So as we all learned in my interview with the $100 million man that's involved in roofing, the average roof costs $10,000 to set up. Roofing companies aren't doing 1 to 2 roofs a month. They're doing 15, 20 or more roofs every single month, depending on their staff and their capacity. Bottom line with roofing is that these guys are totally ready to scale at all times. They pretty much want to get their hands on as many roofs as possible so that they can make as much money as possible. With all of that said, roofing is an awesome niche to get into. It can be super lucrative. You don't need to know much. There's a super low barrier of entry as far as getting a recruiting contract with a roofing company, and you pretty much need to know nothing. You can check out a few job descriptions and basically become an expert on recruiting roofers. One point of information that will be super beneficial for you is that you should cold call and cold email both roofing companies and plumbing companies. The reason for this is that most of the time, the high-level management or the owner is actually doing work out in the field as well amongst the crew. So this is oftentimes the case where you can call into a roofing company and the owner is actually on top of a roof or literally doing work or giving quotes or something of that nature, and you want to get on the phone rather than just send an email out into space and have nothing happen. So getting on the phone, getting them a call and actually making some traction happen that way is definitely a better way to go than just sending an email. The third niche I'd like to mention that's going to make you the riches is transportation, meaning drivers. When I say drivers, I mean literally people that drive any type of vehicle, that carry any type of thing, from products to people. If you haven't realized it yet, transportation is one of the fastest growing industries in America right now. There is a huge demand for mostly CDL drivers and non-CDL drivers alike, and that's why I mainly threw it on this list. To give you a really simple example of this, Amazon.com utilizes hundreds, if not thousands, of small driving outlet companies that have a fleet of vehicles and a fleet of drivers, and they contract them out to basically deliver on their Prime Now services, on their 2-day shipping, on their Amazon Fresh, or just their regular shipping. All of those companies need drivers consistently. If that doesn't seal the deal for you, consider things like other fleet services. Basically, companies that have a fleet of vehicles like tow trucks or limos or party buses or courier services or even school buses, right? So all of these things require drivers to actually sit in the seat and drive the vehicle. And these people are in high demand because apparently there's just a huge shortage of drivers. The one thing that's really cool about recruiting for drivers is basically it's one item that you need to check off, and that's essentially their driving record. If they have a crystal clear driving record, they're mostly good to go and totally hireable for the position. All right, so my fourth niche that's going to make you the riches is going to be warehouse. Anything warehouse. So I'm talking about pickers, packers, forklift drivers, managers, supervisors, anything in between. There's a billion different roles at warehouses that are needed frequently and consistently and repeatably. I personally work in the warehouse and logistics space a lot, and so I have plenty of warehouse clients, and they do tons of repeat business, and it's really, really lucrative when they're giving you 3 to 4 job orders every single month, which equates to essentially a $10,000 a month income, and that's simply $100,000 every single year income stream just working with warehouses alone. Now, a lot of these positions are also really, really easy to fill. It's amongst one of the easiest barriers of entry to get a recruiting contract with them. All you need to do is basically be able to find a forklift driver or a picker or a packer. These people basically just drive around in a forklift, pick up pallets, load trucks, unload trucks, do things that pretty much anyone could do. All right, so my fifth and last niche that is going to make you the riches is salespeople. Anywhere there's a product or a service or an offering or anything whatsoever that needs to be sold, there needs to be a salesperson. What's really cool about recruiting salespeople is that they work in every industry, just like I said. So it gives you the capability to find out what industry you work best in and then go approach that industry about recruiting salespeople for them. Another really fun fact about salespeople is that they're often moving around. They're often changing jobs, and so they're readily available whenever you need one. So if you're sourcing and recruiting for salespeople and you have a job order for 5 salespeople at a software company, salespeople are usually moving around pretty quickly. So they're readily available for the taking and easily found for sourcing. The last thing I want to say about salespeople and recruiting in the sales industry is essentially the qualifications are extremely simple. You only want to try to find the best performers. All companies want high performers, so obviously you want to look around for the people that have made quota the most, that have exceeded their quota the most, and not so much source the people that have barely met their quota or have not met their quota. But wait, there's more. I wouldn't be giving you a fully valuable video if I didn't include these 3 following tips about these 5 niches. So the first tip that I have for you that I think will be totally beneficial for you is that there are 3 specific niches that I mentioned amongst the 5 where you can charge 15% for direct hire and above. And that would be plumbing, roofing, and sales. So here's the deal. It's not necessarily difficult to find salespeople, roofers, or plumbers. It's just that those industries are high paying and they just expect a higher price point when you approach them. So it's totally reasonable to approach them with a direct hire fee of 15% or even 20%. My second value added tip that I want to tell you about these 5 niches is that there is a backdoor secret old school method that works really, really well when you want to get a contract with some of these industries. So obviously do all of your online research, do all of the Indeed research, check their ads out, do that stuff. However, there's a secondary backdoor method that I have used myself and it's proved to be pretty beneficial. Basically, let's say you're looking to work with a roofing company. You find the roofing company you want to work for, you find their website, and you call their direct line. Simply get on the phone with whomever answers, whether it's HR, secretary, or whomever it is, and essentially ask them, are they hiring? And go into a little bit more detail, maybe what are they hiring for and, how much, they're paying, and ask questions that are detailed to get some real information. This gives you a ton of intel. You know now that they're hiring, you know what they pay, and then a week later, you can go back, talk to the owner, and approach them with an actual offer for a recruiting service. Now, tip number 3 might sound a little bit obvious, but I definitely want to remind you guys because it's super important. Let's say you're sourcing and recruiting for transportation services and you want to get a client and you call maybe 1 or 2 transportation services and then you move on to calling roofing companies. Yeah, don't do it like that. Instead of calling 1 or 2 transportation companies, call 20 of them. Then move on to roofing companies, call 20 of them. Then call 20 plumbers. You should be reaching out and going the extra mile, not going halfway. This is only going to benefit you in the end. And you can span this over 1, 2, 3 days. If you can't do that, you should be on Indeed.com looking for a job for yourself, because this is super, super easy stuff. With this kind of opportunity out there and 5 niches like this that are highly lucrative and highly valuable for recruiters, you should definitely be going after 75 or 100 touch points per day. That's how you really get the business. That's how you get the contracts, and that's how you make 6 figures minimum in a year, if not multiple 6 figures. If you found any value in this video, definitely smash that like button if you would, please, if you have not already. If you're not a subscriber, definitely hit the subscribe button as well as the alert button. You'll know every time I put out a video. It's probably around this time every single day. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Until then.